Hello and welcome back to Black-Girl-Couch Reviews. I'm your host, Christina. We are back for a new season, Season 3 of Southland. This is Episode 1, Let It Snow, which was written by Ann Biederman and John Wells, directed by Christopher Chulak. This was an okay episode. I gave it an 8 out of 10. It looked like we were just reasserting all of our main characters. We saw briefly a non-fan favorite, but it was a pretty interesting case, but a rather, run-of-the-mill part of the investigation with a shootout in between, because why not? Let's talk about Lydia first, because I know, like Lydia, Shia is adjusting to the many new partners that she gets, but I believe, and I'm not even going to be spoilerish with this, we get her current partner for a while. So you're not going to see her and then in 3 more episodes. I feel like I should give you that for how much you've had to go through. So Josie is going to be around. She is someone who she speaks to Russ about that is completely opposite of her. Or should I say, just does things a little differently than she does. They both are 2 women who like to be in charge. And she very casually rough roads over. Is that the right word? Runs roughshod over? That maybe that's the saying. Over Lydia and her desires of where to go to lunch. Driving the car. Russ is looking at her like, you never let me pick where to go to lunch. Then she's like, what? Really? Yeah. Well, that's because you would have had us in some Taco Bell shit.
Honey.
He is working with the police chief and gets some perks like going to the Oscars or the Academy Awards, one or the other. Because of it, however, you could tell he's still interested in the hardcore detective stuff, because when she gets a call, he's immediately like, oh, what's it about? Tell me more. He wants to be involved, but unfortunately he has to walk away because he's no longer a part of that part of her life, despite their continued close friendship. He also mentions that he is pending a benefits payout for his medical, it would seem. She then gets to the crime scene, well, soon to be crime scene. A parent or a child is calling in her parent being missing. Her mother, she has been insistently calling her place of work because she never came home from said place. This is the call that John and Ben get. Is it John and Ben? Yes. John and Ben. I don't know why I forgot his name for half a second. And you can see that Ben is passionate about this because John, of course, is dodging questions about the fact that he has a lot of back pain, and there is a juxtaposition between the two, where you see Ben running up and down the steps, whereas John is putting on a back brace and abusing painkillers at this point now. We can officially say. Then we have him being like, well, this is the last place that she was spotted. You don't think you should have called the police? And to be kind of fair to the guy, because he really was making it very clear that this was not his problem, not his concern. It is a lot to track down. Like, if you think someone punched out, you think someone punched out. But then at that point, before I was aware, they realized that she didn't punch out, which maybe that was to indicate that she quit. But then, I don't know, a more concerned person, because they asked him, are you hiding something, like, the illegal status of the people that work for you? Then he goes, I don't hire the people, the agency does. which means, yes, that they're illegal immigrants. And yes, you're more than aware. And yes, that's why you treat them like shit.
You're fucking a white male! So? You're a white man!
She called this man 20 times and didn't think once to say, hey, let me be concerned for an individual. They go to her locker. Her purse is there. John's like, yeah, a woman does not leave her purse behind. And he calls the detectives in. That's where Lydia and Josie come into the picture. They get a dog to sniff out her scent as they go through her things. They both discuss the fact that this is a woman that's missing. That she did say if it was a Muslim, it would be a lot more of a story. And I'm thinking, would it? I am not from LA, so maybe there is a certain hierarchy that they are in that particular community, but shit, brown is brown around here. Takes a lot to get more attention, and that's not being brown. But they also know that her status as an illegal immigrant also causes issues about people going to the correct authorities. They end up finding her tucked into a shaft. I don't know what to call that. Up in the ceiling. She is duct taped. She's been assaulted. Very badly beaten, actually. And that's very sad for them to have to tell the daughter. That's something her and Josie differ on, because she says, you know, I'll promise to find your mother. And she said you shouldn't make those promises because now you did find the mother, sure, but now you got to tell her, oh, by the way, she's dead. And of course, Lydia has been giving her the side eye all episode every time she does anything, which I love. Just seeing Lydia's facial expressions. It's like the cop version of The Office. Especially when she told her, I know, there's nothing we can do but be right here.
What? What the fuck?
I like the way they shot just the interrogation through the black and white screen until they got to the particular suspect that they wanted us to focus on. They are, of course, questioning all of the employees, and one guy in particular is sus from the get-go because he comes in with a baseball cap like he don't want anybody to recognize his face. As soon as he takes the cap off, you see the scratches all over him. They're like, where'd you get that? Oh, my dog. You know. Then they get him up, get him to take his shirt off, because if you ain't got nothing to hide, it's like, oh, that's a rough dog. You're free to go now. Clearly with intent to get a DNA order to get your DNA. They then show up to his house, and she's in love with the car outside. She's just a whole different type of person than Lydia is. And she also likes to talk to her kids on the phone in the car, which also bothers Lydia. And she's like, I don't really want tacos for lunch. I'm feeling solid. But those tacos are bomb ass though.
What did I say?
His short-tempered girlfriend, who knows she gets backhanded into a wall as well, is the first one to defend his bitch ass. As they go into the home and take his DNA sample, they're like, oh, well, doesn't seem like you got a dog. Unfortunately, there's not much they can do until the DNA sample comes back, so they decide to go fishing because they can't get a rush on it. They go to the house, and I like this part of Lydia, that despite how much she bangs heads with the person that she's working with, if she does, she is open-minded to listening to reason, right? So she wants to go fishing. She's like, okay, let's see what we do. We'll see what bites. So they decide to say that they've already arrested the person responsible and that they owe him an apology. And the girlfriend's like, I told you he didn't do it, and we just said we were sorry. Josie acts like she wants to go look at the car, and since she was so geeked for it before, he has no problem with this. And Lydia comes in asking for some water that she never even took a sip of, which is something that always bothers me in television shows when they go ask for the clear diversion. Because now, of course, they're going to put that shit together. Maybe you would have had more time if you did not clearly give away the fact that you was getting some information that you needed. Because the first thing he going to ask is, what'd she say? Did she see the bags? Oh, she knows that we are bailing out of the country. Now we need to run before they can get the evidence that they need. Because clearly if they had it, then they would have arrested my ass. And then they run. And then Hosie's like, well, I don't give a fuck that it's still spinning and we ain't got a match yet. I'm not letting his ass get on that plane. And she recklessly drives and runs him off the road. Lydia gives chase. And she's like, are you fucking crazy? Don't you ever do that shit again. She's like, what? What'd I do wrong? Luckily, at that moment, she gets a call and it's a match. And now they don't look like they have done a false arrest, even though everybody named Mama knew that he did it. And that's their case for this week. The other detectives are Nate and Sammy, investigating a double homicide of two guys in a underpass. They find out from a homeless guy that there was a dark van there. They saw two guys getting dropped out, and he knew that by all the sirens something must have popped off. Before they get this bit of information that the guy transported the dead bodies in one of their vehicles, they are shaking down two little young thugs while also discussing Sammy coming over to his, he always seems to be having a party of some kind at Nate's house. He says to bring Tammy despite the fact that they're both still beefing, or he's still angry at her anyway. We saw Cheeky at the crime scene. I like the fact that they rotated the officers and detectives, which is something we didn't see a lot in the first two seasons. And they're just utilized just effectively enough, even though they're not primarily the topic of the conversation of the episode like Cheeky was. Like, we saw her, she talked to Ben. They're recurring type of characters. They don't always need to be center stage. We have our focal characters at this point, so that's who we are following. But they then go to talk to Reyes. Well, first they go to notify one of the parents who knows that Luis Reyes had murdered his child, and that of his friend whose parents just stay down the street. They go to a shop, and there's about 15 essays around ready to murder them. And I'm with Nate. I'd rather be alive than dead heroes, because they don't look stable and we are fucking outnumbered. And no one even, did we even call this shit in? We just rolled up to ask questions. And they are gathering close. And that's something that you have to be concerned about as an officer. Being possibly outnumbered. We saw that a little bit we did see it in an episode where Cheeky and that other guy was out. And then everyone is crowded on you. You're in this. The safety is in numbers. So they do also need those plainclothes officers to show up for backup, because they can find themselves very quickly in a dangerous situation. So they walk away and they find out that the two people that are dead raped Luis Reyes' daughter, which he told them. and they actually got off for the charge. And while I'm sure this is the drug dealer that was always a drug dealer, gang member, whatever the case may be, in this particular moment, he was a father, and I don't blame him at all. Their daughters, or his daughter, was taken and then ran a train on by 20 men and then dumped and left for dead. Nah, you can't breathe after that. Nobody's going, like, I'm not even gonna leave the crime scene, bro. Like, the same thing. Why did he leave the blood in his, why did he use his own car? Because he wanted everybody to know. Like, that's never going to play. And then they feel like they killed him easy because they could have tortured their ass. Seriously. Because I might be that inclined, but I'm apparently a very dark person. Oh. That would not be any jail time I would regret, because you might as well just put me out. But yeah, they end up getting him fairly easily and without fuss. And then he goes to see his very problematic wife, Tammy, who's smoking a cigarette, and announces that she's pregnant because she is that fucking selfish. Lastly, let's talk about Ben and John. Ben, for the most part, tries to keep inquiring about his back as if he's going to ever talk to you about it. So continuing to ask the question over and over again is not going to elicit a different response. He's also still heavily intimidated by John. He looks up to him. He sees him as a mentor and as a partner. And you have to put your trust in your partner. And thus he's in a situation. I think if he wasn't his mentor as well, and he didn't respect the shit out of him, it would be easy for him, because he definitely is a rising star, but he sees, like, he knows his star is rising because of what John is and has taught him. But John is in a lot of pain. They go to the store. This one lady is really arguing about $3 over a refund exchange. He's mad at both women, and thus gives the woman the $3 and is going to stand there while she fills out the form. Personally, I would think that he's the type that would be totally angry at this, but because these are not bougie people and this looks like a pretty low-key type of store, he's willing to resolve it. Even though Ben's like, yeah, I'm gonna go sit out in the car. He overhears him making calls to his dealer, not his dealer, but his friend, I forgot what her name is, that provided him with the drugs before. They then get to a shootout at a bank. Yeah, they had the missing persons case. Then they went to a shootout in the bank. And that was like, all of a sudden, everything is on 0 or 3 at the most. Yeah, because they pulled a lady over looking like the ugliest cougar I've ever seen. I'm sorry. She looked like she smelled like catfish. I'm just saying. I don't know how that possibly appealed, but I think Ben just wanted to stick his dick in something. But I think that's also a Ben trait, that when he is feeling stressed or whatever, he likes to stick his dick in problematic women. But she definitely was giving him the eyes and her thing, like, do you have to, officer? And he's like, I didn't even really want to pull you over. My partner wants to do it because he wanted me to just piss me off. But then they go to the bank robbery. That has gone horribly wrong. An officer is down, so they use their vests. John decides to get him because he says, look, I'm stronger. I can do this, even though it cost him dearly to his back later on. He even tried to tell him you should go home. But when it was needed, he was able to perform. and do his job despite it costing him. Ben unfortunately has to watch one of the men blow his head off, and despite it being a huge boon to, tax dollars prosecuting him, it's not easy seeing that shit, especially when you're not expecting it whatsoever. He then, as stated, does not go out with the folks. He decides, how the fuck did she find him at the state? Like, was you just sitting there? Did you call in and ask, when does Officer Ben get off of work, you weirdo? And he just gets in the car like, I know that this is toxic, and I know that this is in the gutter, but that's where I feel right now. Whereas John goes to see his friend, who tells him, look, I'm not giving you shit, you need help, because you were supposed to not abuse that medicine. That should have lasted a while, and if you cannot get refills, then I'm gonna need you to seek some counseling. And she walks away. So I thought it was a really good setup episode, and I'm looking forward to see, now that we have gotten back on track of where everyone is at this point, how the season unfolds. I remember liking this season a lot, so I can't tell you specifically why, because I honestly don't remember, but I remember liking it when it went to TNT. Like, y'all took a step up. You can tell a little bit that it's on cable, because the violence has definitely gotten a little bit more gruesome. I don't think they would have showed the dead person in the alley. Like, they try to blur things out. They only give you certain angles. And they definitely are taking a little bit more risks. We do, of course, have feedback for this episode. So let's jump on into the mailbag.
Christina, it's me, Shy. I am here to give my feedback for Southland Season 3 season premiere. I'll start off by saying the one thing about this show that kind of takes me a minute to get orientated is, like, I'm not understanding the time frame. And I understand what you were saying about season 1 and 2, how the show was supposed to be canceled, it was picked up or something along those lines, and then this season it's on a different network than seasons 1 and 2. But my thing is, it's like, and I even said that in my previous feedback about it's just feeling off, and like the finale for season 2 didn't feel like a finale, and you went on about that in regards to, wrapping up stuff and things of that nature. But I guess, and this is just that show. This is going to be that type of show where I'm like, I'm not understanding where we're at in the story. It's like, is it 4 months later, 3 months later? It's kind of hard, but I didn't know where we were at the end of season 2 so it's like, how much time has passed since this season 2 finale to understand where we're at in the story. It doesn't seem like that much time has passed, because Sammy was talking about things still being shaky with him and Tammy, but at the same time and then the whole thing with John and Ben and John's back problems, his continued back problems. Last time we saw Chicky, she was the one that took down that rapist, and then it's like, and then now we last season we had Lydia with one partner, and now she has another partner, and it's just like, so what is the time frame that we're dealing with in regards to what happened between seasons 2 and 3? But I think, I guess for me, it's kind of important for me to know, so I can understand more the development of the characters, and where they are in their development. So it's it's just something that I would like to know. I know some may not care, but it helps me to orientate myself to what's happening and where we are in the story. So in this case, it was threw me off because again, we were, and of course I know that things happen between each season, but it was just such a jarring, and maybe that it doesn't help that I just watched the season finale last week and now I'm watching the season premiere this week. Maybe that doesn't help either. But Lydia has a new partner. She's trying to adjust to yet again another partner. She's yet again complaining to Russell about her new partner. Russell's riding the bench now, so he seems to be further along in his recovery, where he's not using the cane like he was in the previous episode. But now she has this new partner, and they've had to have been partners for at least a little bit for her to be sounding the way she did in regards to how her partner is. They are going after this rapist, which I'm like, okay. I mean, obviously I know you need evidence, but I'm like, dude, I mean, come on now. You got scratch marks all over you, and you got bruises all over you. And then I'm like looking at the girlfriend like, what do you think he got those scratches from? Like, ma'am, come on now. Open up. I know we put on blinders sometimes when we're in love and all that stuff, but come on now. And then he's talking about my dog. The dog you don't have. Like, can you come up with a better story than that? I mean, at least have a dog in order to say the dog did it. So understandably, I would have been pieced out. He's gonna wait till all that, then try to leave the country. I'm like, sir, your cover is blown. Again, criminals think they're so smart. And then, my other thing is what his lawyer says. Yeah, go ahead and do the DNA. Like, you're guilty as hell, sir. Stop it. Anyway, the storyline was just ridiculous to me because it was like so glaringly obvious this dude was guilty. I felt bad. I felt bad for her, but it's like it's been 48 hours. I'm like, that lady is gone. I felt bad for the daughter, but I didn't have any hope for them finding that woman alive. I mean, John is a better person. Like, I have back problems. I ended up having to go to the emergency room because I let my back issues get to the point where I could barely move. And that's no joke. It is. I mean, it's not just painkillers. It's like, I mean, they had to give me muscle relaxers. I didn't get painkillers, and that helped me out significantly. But yeah, for a few months, I would go whenever I would run. And I was in the military. Whenever I would run, like every so often, my back would start, acting up on me. And even in that, it's hard, but it would go away. It just, mess with me for a little bit, then it'll go away. But man, that's nothing to mess with. Mine was just more of a strained muscle than anything else. But John is, the things that can go on, the long-term damage that can go on, not just with the addiction to pain pills, but the damage he's doing to his body by not addressing this issue and continuing to be full-time with full duty while nursing that. I mean, he could do more damage in continuing that. So I'm glad his ex-wife said no. Hopefully we can get to some resolution with that story, because I think it's been going on a little long now. And and of course we got the code that you can't, the, what's it called, the blue code or the whatever with the police. They just don't, and it is so similar. And I think I said in my other feedback, it's so many similarities with the military. It's just things that you suck up and you try to deal with, and you don't say, you suffer in silence kind of thing, whether that's with your physical health or your mental health. People rather, because the mission has to get accomplished and you're seen a certain way, even though they tell you to get help or whatever. Sometimes they don't look at you the same afterwards, or they treat you differently during. Is it just me, or every time Nate and Sammy are in these gang infested neighborhoods talking to these different, I'll be like, something's gonna happen to these dudes. I mean, that is such a dangerous, especially in this episode when we saw them confronting Luis Reyes. I just knew something was gonna go down. It's like, and they be telling their business while they're arresting or patting down suspects. Hey, you coming over to the house? You got, Pete. I'm like, why are you putting your business out there in the street while you're arresting or confiscating stuff from people? It's like, I just think that, I said it with the daughter about, the people that she's hanging out with. I just feel like it's coming with Nate. That's coming to a head in some way, because it just seems weird that they just keep putting their face out there with these gangbangers, and it's just something, I don't know. I just feel like something bad's gonna happen. Of course, we didn't see Nate's daughter in this episode, so I don't know if that's a ongoing thing or not with her, or if she's finally calmed down and not hanging out with people she don't supposed to be hanging out with. We had the shootout out in the streets, which is crazy. Another reason why I can't be a cop, which is kind of funny when I tell you I was in the military. But I don't know, there's differences and similarities with the worlds. And then we get the end with Tammy saying she's pregnant, so Lord help us with this relationship, this toxic, unhealthy relationship. Now they're gonna bring a baby into it. Yay, how wonderful. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Until next time, much love, peace, and Black Girl Magic, Queen of the Couch, Shy.
That was Queen Shy with her thoughts on the episode. She's like, yay, sarcastically. I do get what you mean about the consistency. I'm not seeing this through the first time eyes lens, so I am simply going to take your word. My freaking, did you hear that? You probably did in the recording. Freaking knee popped. Old woman here. You talking about back pains? I just got some back pain medicine. It's just over the counter. It ain't that deep, but I'm thinking about, well, it depends. I don't know. I might get a muscle relaxer for my arm before I go on vacation, because I don't like the twinge it starts to give me, but it's going to take a while before it gets back to any. At least I'm able to lift it up and down, even though sometimes it is a little slow. So I feel it too, that it doesn't always need to be narcotics. That's also the issue, because that's the other part of it, right? Is you fucking got these doctors pushing out, because a lot of them are drug dealers. It's just the facts. They are drug dealers. They will give you a narcotic before they'll give you something that's like, I don't know, not a narcotic. Depending on the severity of the pain, of course, we don't know the exact injury that he has. John, at least I don't think we've been privy to that. Which to me also indicates, he probably has to have surgery. He should be having surgery. And he's not. So I'm not ever defending his actions. But in a way, for the people that are around him, it's a little paralyzing, because he made it clear in episode 1, like, basically I would die before I go on a desk. So that is something that they're also carrying with them, and it's not even just from someone that's your boy in blue. It's someone that you care about. Cheeky and him have a long history. They care about each other. John, this is someone he looks up to, sees as a friend, sees as a brother, and he's carrying that with him. He's gonna be done, and I don't want that on me. So you're thinking, okay, what do I do about the situation? But there's not much you could do except try to, he always defends it. Cheeky always comes over. Well, I saw John, like, you really need to stop. Either you're going to do something about it or shut the fuck up. Because he's going to do something if he wants to do something about it. And it's going to have to be him because he's his partner. And if she wanted to speak up and say something after learning her lesson, then she should have already done so. She doesn't need to jump on him to do so too. Even though I got what she was trying to say last episode, like, I'm just giving you the heads up. You're absolutely right to give him said heads up, but now the ball's in his court. I don't think that it's going to be wrapped up anytime soon, because the first season or 2 seasons we've seen, this hasn't been a prominent issue. It's just now becoming a prominent issue, even though we knew he had back problems. But it was only until that one particular, there was something, he was having an issue getting his medication, but we didn't see it necessarily affect his performance in the field until rather recently. So I think that until it really hasn't hit his stride to see it escalate before it crashes down and burns around him. And I don't see that as happened yet. And thus I don't think it'll be like a quick wrap up. Like, it's going to take a while. This is not just also someone who's not a veteran. This is someone who has a lot of respect of the force. And John's still a rookie. So you have that part of it as well. That authority, that still exists between the two. So I could see the situation being frustrating because he's clearly putting himself in a lot of danger. That's only going to hurt him more. But I can also understand the people around him not quite knowing what to do about it. As far as consistency, I know I was just addressing that in the beginning of the podcast. It does stay consistent from here. So, yay, next. These next 3 seasons are all not going through any weird stages that aren't staged into the show, if that makes sense, from what I recall. I would say it's about 2 to 3 weeks since the finale. I think that he should have at least been held. Yes, the guy with all the scratches, like, couldn't you hold them? But I suppose you needed to get I don't know everything about the law, but I feel like in other television shows, they can hold you for 24 to 48 hours, right? To get evidence. So why couldn't they have held him? That is very much, I think, a little flaw. I don't think the girlfriend is blind. I think that she's abused and complacent. Because as I stated earlier, he didn't just all of a sudden start abusing women. It's usually ones that are with them and they think, well, he's with me. They got their own insecurity issues. And I get what you're saying about Nate and Sammy I think, like I was saying, I think part of it, that's what their job is. So they got to put their face out there. But good point about their personal business, because that I would not be discussing. And I think lastly that his daughter had a reality check, because she ain't never going to get over the PTSD of having brain matter on her face. So that storyline seems to be wrapped up. The next time I see her, I expect her to be in uniform, attending Bible study with a Bible in her hand and some prayer beads around her neck. If you want to send feedback for our next episode of Southland, blackgirlcouch@gmail.com, or you can leave a comment below on this podcast. My social media will be there as well. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until the next time, peace, hair grease, and black girl magic.